it feels like in the last couple of weeks, most leaders have begun to get some elevation. And what I mean by that is that while we are nowhere near in a position where we can lead from 30,000 feet, with a long time horizon, able to think strategically in the long term, while we're nowhere near that, we're no longer down at runway level, working in the trenches, just doing triage, trying to get through the next day, barely even able to see towards the end of the day, the end of the week. We're sort of at a what I'd call a 5,000 feet level right now. Folks have got at least some perspective into the next couple of months. Some folks have got a clear view for a quarter, some even for quarters 3 and 4. But it's a strange and slightly awkward place to be because as leaders, we're used to having that 30,000 foot view, being able to think strategically, plan in the medium and long term. And we're also typically pretty good at getting down at runway level, getting our hands dirty, just helping get through the day. But this strange sort of 5,000 foot level, well, it's just that. It's a little strange. I likened it the other day to that part of the airplane takeoff where you haven't got through the cloud cover yet. You can still feel that you're ascending, but it doesn't feel like you've reached anywhere near a cruise level. And so in being here at this 5,000 foot level, it's clearly important that we use this time correctly, because if we don't think the right way now, we're not going to get to 10,000 feet, 15, 20, 25, 30,000 feet. So I just want to lay out a few principles from what I've seen, not just now, but at similar times in the past. All the caveats about similar, I've said them often enough, just asterisk, this is not similar, but you know what I mean. And the first thing is this, and I've been experiencing this a lot with my coaching clients over the last couple of weeks. Forgive yourself, give yourself a break. Almost every leader I've talked to feels bad about something. I missed something. I didn't pivot early enough here. I had to let people go. Many of my clients feel bad because they're actually doing well and their business is thriving, their church is growing. And I just want to say, look, cut yourself some slack. Nobody saw this coming this way. If we did, we wouldn't be here. And it's not going to help your folks if you're leading them from a place of guilt. So just give yourself a break and let's move forward. The second principle is, my suggestion is to plan for quarter 3 and if you can through to quarter 4 against two extremes. In blunt detail, that means planning for a fierce second wave of coronavirus. And the other plan is for that not to happen and for the economy to begin to react to that having been the only wave. Now, this is not a political statement. It's not even a scientific statement. I'm just making an economic statement that my recommendation is that you plan against those two extremes because you'll be executing somewhere in between. And you need to be able to know how to tack between those two extremes. It's highly unlikely that either of those two extremes, let's hope, will happen. I'm strongly of the opinion that we'll be somewhere in between where we'll have patchy responses and localized flare-ups. And we need to be prepared for that. The third thing is, for 2021, now is the time to run some scenario plans, not to put together detailed plans. We can start to do that for quarter 3, maybe even if we're fortunate into quarter 4. But now is the time to start to run some scenarios. What ifs? Put together 4 or 5 of them. Get a team of trusted people around you, more on that in a second, and just play it out. You don't need to produce a written plan at this point. To do so, I think, might be futile just right now. Who knows where we'll be in 2 weeks from now. I could be recommending that. half-life of information and our time horizon is very short at the minute. But for right now, just game some scenarios out for 2021. Now, my fourth point is a caveat to that, which is this is not a good time to be, in general, musing out loud. You don't want all of your folks to watch your inner dialogue right now. So that means in order to do your scenario planning, you need to get a trusted group of people with whom you can do that without spooking everybody else. Everybody wants some clear direction right now. And particularly for those of you who are visionary leaders in our VOPS model, we talk to think. That's how you will work stuff out, is you need to talk with people about it, maybe even argue about it. But make sure that you're doing that with a group of trusted advisors. Even more helpful if they're not directly involved in your own organization, though you may well need some of your senior people to bring their subject matter expertise, but keep that group as small as possible until you're beginning to see the outlines of something that you can be sure about. And the fifth thing is this: don't descend. Now, what I mean by that is that we've begun to get a little bit of upward velocity, so to speak, and I'm talking not economic in terms of an economic return, I'm talking in terms of the elevation from which we can see forward. Like I say, we're at about a sort of a 5,000 foot level at the moment. You should not be still nailing stuff down at runway level, but you will have pitched in. You'll have been doing things that you weren't doing before, that you've taken back on. Maybe you just jumped in and helped anywhere you can. Now is the time to start to move away from that if you're the leader of your organization, because you need to begin to be able to think strategically and to lead strategically. Now, I know that particularly for some of the smaller organizations there, you just may not be in a position to do that. You might have had to cut back so far that you're going to have to continue to do some things that you thought you would not be doing around about now in your career. But even if that's the case, you need to start putting the Lego bricks in place to begin to keep your elevation in terms of the time horizon that you're planning for leveling upwards. So don't descend. I'm Les McKeown. Please scroll down, leave me some comments, tell me what your thoughts are about leading at 5,000 feet. Let's make it a great week.